The small research ship, New Horizon, moved slowly through space near the star called Kepler to 442. Dr. Amanda Foster sat at her desk, looking at the data from the planet below. She was excited. The planet looked perfect for humans to live on someday. Amanda was 34 years old and had always loved studying life on other worlds. She came from Denver and had worked for 10 years to become the best at what she did. Her dream was to find friendly aliens who could become friends with humans. Amanda, come look at this, called Jake Morrison from the pilot's seat. Jake was the captain of their small ship. He was a good man who had flown ships for 15 years. Amanda walked to the front of the ship. Through the big window, she could see the planet spinning slowly. It was blue and green, just like Earth. It's beautiful, she said softly. Lisa Chun. Their pilot was checking the ship's systems. All systems are working fine, she said. We can stay here for 3 more days. Carlos Rodriguez, their engineer, looked up from his work. The ship is running perfectly. No problems at all, Amanda smiled. She had worked with these people for 2 years. They were like family to her. Let's take more readings tomorrow. I want to make sure this planet is safe for future colonies. The next morning, Amanda woke up early. She always did when she was excited about her work. She put on her blue uniform and went to the main room of the ship. Everyone was already there, eating breakfast. Good morning, everyone, Amanda said. Today we're going to scan the northern part of the planet. I think we might find something interesting there. Jake nodded. Sounds good. We'll move the ship into position after breakfast. As they ate, Amanda talked about her hopes for the future. Maybe someday, children from Earth will play on that planet. Maybe we'll build cities there. Maybe we'll meet friendly aliens who can teach us new things. Lisa laughed. You always think the best of everyone, Amanda. Even aliens we haven't met yet. Why not? Amanda asked. If we're good people, maybe they are too. After breakfast, they started their work. Amanda sat at her science station, watching the screens that showed information about the planet. Everything looked perfect. The air was good to breathe. The water was clean. The temperature was just right. This is it, Amanda said excitedly. This is the perfect planet for humans. Suddenly, Carlos shouted, Something's coming. Everyone looked at the main screen. A ship was approaching them, but it wasn't a human ship. It was long and thin, like a crystal. It was beautiful, but strange. Oh my, Amanda whispered. It's an alien ship. Jake's hands moved quickly over the controls. Everyone stay calm. This is what we've trained for. Amanda's heart was beating fast, but she was excited, not scared. This was her dream coming true. She was going to meet aliens for the first time. I'm opening a communication channel, Amanda said. Her voice was steady and professional. This is Dr. Amanda Foster of the Earthship New Horizon. We come in peace. We want to be friends. The alien ship came closer. It was twice as big as their ship and glowed with a soft blue light. Amanda tried again to talk to them. Hello, she said in a friendly voice. We are from Earth. We are explorers. We want to learn about the universe and meet new friends. Please talk to us. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the alien ship started to glow brighter. Amanda smiled. I think they're going to answer us. But instead of words, a bright beam of light shot from the alien ship. It hit the New Horizon's shields and went right through them like they were made of paper. Shields are down. Carlos shouted. Jake tried to turn the ship, but it was too late. The beam hit the front of the ship where Amanda was sitting. The light was so bright that everyone had to close their eyes. When the light faded, Amanda was gone. Where she had been sitting, there was only empty space and twisted metal. Amanda! Lisa screamed. Jake looked around desperately. Where is she? Where's Amanda? Carlos checked his instruments with shaking hands. She's gone. The beam destroyed everything in that area. Then a voice came from the alien ship. It spoke in broken human language. Weak species. This area belongs to the Zephyrian Empire. Your expansion ends here. This is your only warning. The alien ship turned and flew away, leaving the damaged New Horizon alone in space. Jake's face was white with shock. Get us out of here, now. The jump drive is damaged, Carlos said, but I can fix it. Give me 10 minutes. Those 10 minutes felt like hours. No one spoke. They all stared at the empty space where Amanda had been sitting just moments before. She had been talking about children playing on the planet below. She had been excited about making new friends. Now she was dead. When Carlos finished fixing the jump drive, Jake set course for Earth. As they traveled through space, Lisa recorded everything that had happened. The video showed Amanda trying to make friends with the aliens. It showed her smile. It showed the moment the beam killed her. The whole galaxy needs to see this, Jake said quietly. They need to know what happened to Amanda. 3 days later, the New Horizon arrived at Earth. The video of Amanda's death was sent to every news station on the planet. Within hours, 12 billion people had seen it. They watched Amanda try to make friends. They watched her die for no reason. The woman who had dreamed of friendship between species was gone. But her death would change everything. The news of Amanda Foster's death spread across Earth like fire. Every television, every computer, every phone showed the same terrible video. People watched Amanda smile as she tried to make friends with the aliens. They watched her die for no reason. President Victoria Hayes stood in her office in Geneva, watching the video for the 10th time. Her hands were shaking with anger. She had daughters of her own. Amanda could have been one of them. "Ma'am," said her assistant, "the people are calling for action. The phone lines are jammed. Everyone wants to know what we're going to do." Victoria took a deep breath. "Call an emergency meeting. Get me the military commanders, the cabinet, everyone. We meet in 1 hour." Across the world, people were gathering in the streets. In New York, a crowd of 10,000 people held pictures of Amanda. In London, people were singing songs about her. In Tokyo, children were leaving flowers at the Space Center. But something else was happening too. Young men and women were walking into military recruitment offices. They weren't just sad about Amanda's death. They were angry. In Chicago, 20-year-old Billy Harper watched the video with his friends. "That could have been my sister," he said. "That could have been anyone." "What are we going to do about it?" asked his friend Pete. Billy stood up. "I'm going to join the military right now." "Me too," said Pete. They weren't alone. All across Earth, people were making the same decision. The recruitment offices couldn't handle all the volunteers. Lines of people stretched around city blocks. Admiral Richard Stone sat in his office at military headquarters, watching the reports come in. His phone rang every 5 minutes with updates. "Sir, we have 50 million volunteers in the first day." "Sir, the weapons factories are calling. Their workers want to make military equipment." "Sir, the scientists want to help with the war." Effort. Stone had been in the military for 30 years. He had never seen anything like this. President Hayes called the meeting to order. Around the table sat the most powerful people on Earth. General Patricia Wells commanded the Colonial Marines. Director Susan Blake ran the Intelligence Service. Dr. Kevin Park led the Science Department. "Ladies and gentlemen," Hayes said, "they killed one of our own. They killed Dr. Amanda Foster, a woman who wanted nothing but peace. The question is, what are we going to do about it?" General Wells slammed her hand on the table. "We go to war. We show them what happens when you attack humans." "With what?" asked Dr. Park. We have exploration ships, not warships. We have research stations, not military bases. Then we build them, said Admiral Stone. The people are ready. Have you seen the recruitment numbers? Have you seen the factories? The entire planet wants to fight. Director Blake opened her folder. I've been studying these Zephyrians. They control 47 star systems. They've conquered 12 different alien species. They think we're just another weak race they can push around. They're wrong, said Hayes quietly. Show them the reports from the colonies. Blake continued. Mars wants to convert all their mining equipment into weapons. The Luna colonies are volunteering their entire populations for military service. The asteroid miners are offering their ships for the fleet. Dr. Park looked surprised. All of them? All of them, Blake confirmed. Humanity is united in a way we've never been before. Amanda Foster has become a symbol. People are calling this Amanda's War. Hayes stood up. Then we give them what they want. We go to war. But not a small war. If we're going to fight, we're going to win. The meeting lasted 6 hours. When it ended, Earth was officially at war. Next morning, Hayes appeared on television. She spoke to the entire human race at once. 12 billion people watched her. My fellow humans, she began. Yesterday, they took one of our own. They killed Dr. Amanda Foster, a woman who represented the best of humanity. She went to space to learn, to explore, to make friends. They murdered her for no reason except that she was human. The president's voice grew stronger. They think we are weak. They think we will be afraid. They are wrong. We are not weak. We are not afraid. We are angry. Around the world, people cheered. Today, I am declaring a state of war against the Zephyrian Empire. Every human, every colony, every ship will join this fight. We will show them what happens when you attack our family. The response was immediate. On Mars, the mining companies started building weapons. On Luna, the factories switched to making ships. In the asteroid belt, miners began converting their equipment for war. But the most important change was in the people themselves. Humans had lived in peace for over 100 years. They had almost forgotten what war was like. But Amanda's death reminded them. Billy Harper finished his basic training in record time. He was now Sergeant Harper, and he was training new soldiers. Why are we fighting? He asked his trainees. For Amanda. They shouted back. Why are we going to win? Because we're human. The training camps were full. New ones were built every week. Old retired soldiers came back to teach. Scientists left their labs to design weapons. Teachers became officers. Students became soldiers. Dr. Park's research department grew from 100 people to 10,000. They were working on new technologies, new weapons, new ships. We need to be better than them, he told his team. We need to be so much better that they'll never want to fight us again. The shipyards worked day and night. The sound of construction never stopped. New ships were being built faster than anyone thought possible. They weren't just exploration ships anymore. They were weapons of war. Admiral Stone watched the first new warship launch from the Luna shipyards. It was called the Amanda's Fury. It was bigger and stronger than anything humans had ever built before. How many ships will we have? Asked his aide. As many as we need, Stone replied. The president has given us unlimited resources. The entire human race is behind us. 6 months after Amanda's death, the transformation was complete. The peaceful human civilization was gone. In its place was a war machine unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. The aliens had killed one human. In response, humanity had united. As never before, 12 billion people had one goal: to make sure no one would ever dare attack a human again. The war was about to begin. 6 months had passed since Amanda Foster died. Earth looked different now. The peaceful planet had become a world at war. Every city, every town, every village was working for one goal: to defeat the Zephyrians. Commander Beth Martinez stood in the Luna shipyard, watching workers build the newest warship. The ship was huge, bigger than anything humans had ever made. Its name was painted on the side in big letters: Honor. "How long until it's ready?" Beth asked the chief engineer. 3 more weeks, he replied. "Then we start building Retribution." Beth nodded. She was in charge of building the new fleet. It was the biggest job anyone had ever been given. But she was determined to do it right. For Amanda, the ships weren't just big. They were smart too. Dr. Kevin Park had designed new weapons that could think for themselves. The ships could fight even if their crews were hurt. "Show me the planet Cracker," Beth said. The engineer led her to a special room. Inside was a missile that looked normal, but Beth knew it was the most powerful weapon humans had ever built. One missile could destroy an entire world. "How many do we have?" she asked. 50, the engineer said, "and we're making more every day." Beth felt a chill run down her spine. Humans had never built weapons like this before. But the Zephyrians had started this war. They had killed Amanda. Now they would face the consequences. Across the solar system, other shipyards were just as busy. Mars was building the smaller, faster ships. The asteroid belt was making supply ships. Europa was building the medical ships. But the most important work was happening in secret. Director Susan Blake ran the intelligence operation from a hidden base on the dark side of the moon. Her spies had been sneaking into Zephyrian space for months. "Tell me what you've learned," Blake said to her top agent, Captain Roy Tucker. "Put pictures on the table." The Zephyrians have 47 star systems. Their capital is called Zephyros Prime. They have a big fleet, but they're spread out across their empire. "What about their defenses?" "They're good, but they're old. They haven't fought a real war in hundreds of years. They've gotten lazy." Blake smiled. "That's exactly what we hoped to hear. What about their allies?" "That's the interesting part," Tucker said. "They don't have allies. They have slaves. 12 different alien species work for them, but they don't want to. They're forced to." "Can we use that?" "I think so. Some of these species hate the Zephyrians. If we promise to free them, they might help us." Blake made notes. "Good work. Keep gathering information. The Admiral wants to know everything before we attack." Admiral Stone was planning the biggest military operation in human history. In his war room, he had maps of every Zephyrian star system. Red pins showed their military bases. Blue pins showed their civilian populations. Yellow pins showed the species they had enslaved. "We're going to hit them everywhere at once," Stone told his officers. "They won't know where to defend first." General Wells studied the maps. "What about their capital?" "We save that for last," Stone said. "We destroy their outer defenses first. Then we surround their homeworld. Then we give them one chance to surrender. And if they don't?" Stone's face was hard. "Then we show them what happens when you kill a human." The training camps were full of new soldiers. Billy Harper was now a lieutenant, training recruits. The young men and women who came to him were different from the old peacetime military. They were angry. They were determined. They wanted revenge. "Listen up," Billy told his newest group. "You're not just soldiers. You're humanity's answer to murder. The Zephyrians think we're weak. We're going to prove them wrong." The recruits shouted their agreement. The training was hard. Soldiers learned to fight in space, on planets, in ships. They learned to use the new weapons. They learned to work together as a team. But the most important thing they learned was why they were fighting. Every training camp had a picture of Amanda Foster, Every soldier knew her story. She had tried to make friends and been killed for it. "Remember Amanda" became the battle cry of the human forces. Dr. Park's research teams were working on more than just weapons. They were studying captured Zephyrian technology. They were learning how to make human ships invisible to enemy sensors. They were designing new armor that could stop Zephyrian weapons. "We need to be better than them at everything," Park told his scientists. "Our ships need to be faster. Our weapons need to be stronger. Our soldiers need to be smarter." The Ghost Fleet program was his proudest achievement. These were ships that could fight without any crew at all. They were controlled by computers that could think almost like humans. If the Zephyrians destroyed a human ship, 10 ghost ships would take its place. In the factories, workers were building equipment as fast as they could. They worked 3 shifts a day, every day. No one complained. Everyone knew someone who might have to use the equipment they were making. Anna Kim worked in a weapons factory in Detroit. She had never made weapons before Amanda's death. She had been a teacher, but now she was building the guns that human soldiers would use. "My daughter is joining the fleet next month," she told her coworker. "I want to make sure she has the best equipment possible." The transformation of human society was complete. 12 billion people had one goal: scientists, teachers, farmers, doctors, students, workers. Everyone was part of the war effort. The alien species that the Zephyrians had enslaved began to hear rumors about the humans. At first, they didn't believe the stories. How could one species mobilize so completely for war? But the spies that Director Blake had sent were making contact. They brought a message from humanity: "Help us fight the Zephyrians, and we will set you free." Some of the enslaved species began to rebel. They sabotaged Zephyrian ships. They stole weapons. They passed information to human spies. The Zephyrians noticed the problems, but they didn't understand what was happening. They had ruled for so long that they couldn't imagine anyone challenging them. War Prime Zeth Kaller, the Zephyrian military commander, received reports about increased human activity. But he wasn't worried. "Let them come," he told his officers. "We will destroy them just like we destroyed that female." He didn't know that human intelligence had been listening to his communications. Blake's spies had heard every word. 1 year after Amanda's death, the human fleet was ready. 8,000 ships of war waited at the edge of human space. 2.5 million soldiers, sailors, and pilots were ready to fight. Admiral Stone stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Eternal Vigilance. It was the biggest ship ever built, a mobile fortress that could destroy entire fleets. "All ships, report readiness," he ordered. One by one, the ship commanders reported in. The Amanda's Fury was ready. The Honor was ready. The Retribution was ready. All 8,000 ships were ready. Stone looked at the pictures on his wall. One showed Amanda Foster smiling as she worked at her science station. Another showed her burned and twisted remains after the Zephyrian attack. "This is Admiral Stone to all ships," he announced. 1 year ago, they killed Dr. Amanda Foster. She was a scientist, an explorer, a peacemaker. She represented the best of humanity. They murdered her because she was human. Across the fleet, 2.5 million people listened to his words. Today, we begin our response. We will show the galaxy what happens when you attack our people. We will show them that humanity protects its own. We will show them that we remember. He paused, looking out at the stars where the Zephyrians waited. "Remember. Amanda, all ships prepare for jump. We're going to war." The human fleet jumped into Zephyrian space at exactly the same time. 8,000 ships appeared in 23 different star systems. The Zephyrians had no warning. One moment their space was empty. The next moment, it was full of human. Warships. Captain Amy Foster commanded the ship Sister's Keeper. She was Amanda's younger sister, and she had joined the military the day after Amanda died. Now she was leading the attack on Kepler 186c, a Zephyrian mining world. All weapons. Fire at will. Amy ordered. The human ships opened fire. The Zephyrian orbital defenses were strong, but they weren't ready for this kind of attack. The humans had studied Zephyrian technology for a year. They knew exactly where to hit. Amy watched the enemy stations explode. She felt no joy, only cold. Determination. Target the mining facilities, she ordered. Destroy everything. The Ghost Fleet ships moved in perfect formation. They were computer-controlled, so they could react faster than any living crew. The Zephyrians tried to fight back, but their weapons couldn't hit the Ghost ships. On the bridge of the Sister's Keeper, Amy's communications officer spoke up. "Captain, we're getting a message from the planet's surface." "Put it through," Amy said. A Zephyrian voice came through the speakers. "Please stop firing. We surrender. We want to negotiate." Amy's face was hard. "Tell them we don't negotiate with murderers." The attack continued. Every Zephyrian facility in the system was destroyed. The mining world that had produced metal for Zephyrian ships was now useless. The same scene was happening in 22 other star systems. The human fleet was everywhere at once. The Zephyrians couldn't defend against so many attacks. War Prime Zeth Kaller stood in his command center on Zephyros Prime, watching the reports come in. System after system was under attack. His forces were being destroyed. "How many ships do they have?" he asked his aide. "We count at least 8,000, sir. Maybe more." Zeth Kaller couldn't believe it. "How did they build so many ships so fast?" "We don't know, sir. Our intelligence said they were a peaceful species." "Well, they're not peaceful anymore," Zeth Kaller growled. "Send a message to their fleet. Tell them we want to negotiate." The message was sent to Admiral Stone on the Eternal Vigilance. Stone read it and laughed. "They want to negotiate now? Where was negotiation when they killed Amanda?" He composed a reply. "You had your chance to negotiate when you murdered Dr. Amanda Foster. Now you face the consequences." The war escalated quickly. The Zephyrians tried to fight back, but they were losing badly. Their ships were older and slower. Their weapons were less powerful. Their crews were not as determined. But the worst part for the Zephyrians was that their slaves were turning against them. The alien species they had conquered for centuries began to rebel. The Altarians, who had been forced to build Zephyrian ships, started sabotaging them instead. The vegan miners refused to work. The Centauri pilots flew their ships to human forces and surrendered. Director Blake's plan was working perfectly. The enslaved species saw the humans as liberators. They wanted to help defeat their oppressors. On the planet Altair 7, the local population rose up against their Zephyrian masters. Captain Roy Tucker, the human spy, led a group of rebels in capturing the main communication center. "Broadcast this message to all Zephyrian worlds," Tucker told the Altarian rebels. "Tell them that humans keep their promises. Tell them that if they help us, we will set them free." The message spread across the Zephyrian Empire. More and more enslaved species joined the rebellion. The Empire was falling apart from within, but the humans weren't satisfied with just winning battles. They wanted to make sure the Zephyrians could never hurt anyone again. Dr. Park's planet Cracker. Missiles were used for the first time against a Zephyrian military base on an empty moon. The explosion was so powerful that it could be seen from the next star system. The Zephyrians were terrified. They had never seen weapons like this before. They sent another message to Admiral Stone. "Please, we will do anything. Just stop the attacks." Stone's reply was simple. "Surrender unconditionally, all of you, now." The Zephyrians were desperate. They tried one last attack against the human fleet. They gathered all their remaining ships and attacked the human force. Near their capital system, that was a disaster. The human ships were better in every way. The Ghost fleet alone destroyed half the Zephyrian fleet. The manned ships finished the rest. Billy Harper, now a major, led a boarding party onto a captured Zephyrian ship. He found the crew cowering in their quarters. "Please don't kill us," one of them begged. "We were just following orders." Billy looked at them with cold eyes. Amanda Foster was just doing her job too. She was trying to make friends. "You killed her for no reason." The Zephyrian had no answer. The siege of Zephyros Prime began 3 months after the war started. The human fleet surrounded the planet completely. Nothing could get in or out. Admiral Stone sent a final message to the Zephyrian government. "You have 24 hours to surrender. After that, we will demonstrate what happens to those who murder humans." The Zephyrian leaders tried to negotiate. They offered to pay money. They offered to give up some of their territory. They offered to sign peace treaties. Stone rejected every offer. Unconditional surrender. That's the only option. When the 24 hours were up, the Zephyrians still refused to surrender. They thought the humans were bluffing about destroying their world. They were wrong. Commander Martinez gave the order from the Amanda's Fury. Fire planet cracker missiles. All of them. 50 missiles flew toward Zephyros Prime. Each one carried enough explosive power to crack a planet in half. The Zephyrians watched in horror as their homeworld was destroyed. The explosion was so bright that it lit up the entire star system. The planet that had been the center of the Empire for 800 years was gone. The remaining Zephyrians surrendered immediately. Their empire was finished. Their military was destroyed. Their homeworld was gone. But the humans weren't finished. They hunted down every Zephyrian who had been involved in Amanda's death. They found the ship that had killed her. They found the crew that had fired the weapon. The trial was broadcast across the galaxy. The Zephyrian who had ordered Amanda's death stood before a human judge. "You are charged with the murder of Dr. Amanda Foster," the judge said. "How do you plead?" "She was just one person," the Zephyrian replied. "Why did you destroy our entire civilization for one person?" The judge's answer became famous throughout the galaxy. "Because she was one of ours." The war was over. The Zephyrian Empire was gone. The species that had been enslaved were free. And the galaxy had learned a lesson about humanity. Never attack a human, because if you kill one, you will face all of them. The war had lasted 18 months. In that time, humanity had gone from a peaceful species to the strongest military force in the galaxy. They had done it all for one woman who had wanted nothing more than to make friends with aliens. Amanda Foster was dead, but her death had changed everything. 2 years after the war ended, the galaxy was a different place. The human fleet patrolled the stars, making sure no one would start another war. The planet that had been Zephyros Prime was now called New Geneva, where the alien capital had once stood. Humans built a school. The Amanda Foster Memorial Academy was the most important school in the galaxy. Students came from dozens of different worlds to learn about peace, science, and diplomacy. The first thing every student learned was Amanda's story. President Victoria Hayes, now in her second term, walked through the Academy's halls. She stopped at a statue of Amanda Foster. The statue showed Amanda reaching out her hand in friendship, just as she had done on that terrible day. "She would have loved this place," said Dr. Park, who now ran the Academy's science department. "Yes," Hayes agreed. "She always believed that knowledge was the path to peace." The Academy was built on the ruins of the Zephyrian capital, but it wasn't meant to be a symbol of victory. It was meant to be a symbol of hope. Students from all species learned together. They studied science, art, history, and diplomacy, Many of the students were from species that had been enslaved by the Zephyrians. The Altarians, the Vegans, the Centauri, all were now free. They had their own governments, their own ships, their own futures. Commander Beth Martinez, now an admiral, gave a speech to the new students. "The war is over," she told them, "but the work of peace is just beginning. You are here to make sure that what happened to Dr. Foster never happens again." The human military was still the strongest in the galaxy. The Eternal Vigilance and its sister ships continued to patrol the borders of human space, but now they were joined by ships from other species. The former slaves had become allies. Billy Harper, now a colonel, commanded a mixed crew of humans and aliens. His ship, the Peaceful Dawn, was one of the new patrol vessels. Its mission was to protect trade routes and help settle disputes between worlds. "It's strange," Billy told his second-in-command, a young Altarian named Kex. "We built this fleet to fight a war. Now we use it to keep the peace." Kex nodded. "That's what Dr. Foster would have wanted." She believed in peace. The galaxy had learned to respect humanity. But it wasn't just fear that kept the peace. It was understanding. The other species had seen how humans could work together when they were threatened. They had seen how humans cared for each other. The Foster Doctrine was now the official policy of the United Earth Federation. Any attack on human civilians would be met with overwhelming force. But the doctrine also promised that humans would protect their allies and help those who were oppressed. Director Blake, now retired, wrote a book about the war. It was called Remember Amanda, and it became required reading at schools across the galaxy. In it, she wrote, "We did not want to become warriors. We wanted to be explorers, scientists, and friends. But when they forced us to fight, we showed them what humans are capable of." The surviving Zephyrians were not destroyed. They were given a chance to rebuild their society. But they had to live under human supervision. They had to learn new ways of thinking. They had to learn that other species were not their enemies. Some Zephyrians adapted well. They became teachers, doctors, and scientists. They worked alongside humans and other species to build a better galaxy. Others never accepted their defeat. They lived in bitter isolation, dreaming of the day when they could have their revenge. But they were few, and they were watched. Amy Foster, Amanda's sister, left the military after the war. She became a diplomat, working to build relationships between different species. She often visited the Academy on New Geneva. "My sister dreamed of a galaxy where all species could be friends," she told the students. "That dream cost her life. But it's a dream worth fighting for." The former Zephyrian military commander, War Prime Zeth Collar, spent his remaining years in prison. He never understood why the humans had fought so hard for one person. On his deathbed, he asked his human guard, "Why did you destroy us? She was just one scientist." The guard's answer was simple, "Because she was one of ours." The ghost ships that had been built for war were converted to peaceful purposes. They became cargo ships, exploration vessels, and rescue ships. The artificial intelligences that had been designed to fight learned to help instead. Dr. Park continued his research. But now he focused on healing instead of destroying. His medical advances helped cure diseases that had plagued many species for centuries. The technology that had been used to build Planet Cracker missiles was now used to move asteroids and build new worlds. The galaxy became more peaceful than it had ever been. Trade increased. Art and science flourished. New species were discovered and welcomed into the galactic community. But everyone remembered the lesson of Amanda Foster. They remembered that humans, despite their love of peace, were the most dangerous species in the galaxy when someone they cared about was hurt. 10 years after Amanda's death, a new research ship was launched. It was called the Amanda Foster, and it carried the most advanced peaceful exploration equipment ever built. The ship's mission was to explore unknown regions of space and make contact with new species. Captain Joe Richardson commanded the ship. He was young, but he had studied Amanda's methods carefully. Like her, he believed that the universe was full of potential friends, not enemies. Remember, he told his crew as they approached their first unknown system, we follow Dr. Foster's protocols. We approach in peace. We offer friendship. We show respect. The crew nodded. They all knew Amanda's story. They all understood what they represented. As the Amanda Foster entered the new system, they detected signs of intelligent life. Richardson followed the same procedures that Amanda had used 23 years earlier. This is Captain Joe Richardson of the Earthship Amanda Foster, he broadcast. We come in peace. We are explorers and scientists. We hope to meet you as friends. The alien response came quickly. Welcome, humans. We have heard of Dr. Amanda Foster. We know of her sacrifice. We would be honored to meet with you. Richardson smiled. Amanda's legacy lived on. Her death had changed the galaxy, but her dream of friendship between species was finally coming true. The galaxy had learned that humans were capable of terrible violence when pushed too far. But it had also learned that humans preferred peace, friendship, and cooperation. The balance between these two truths kept the galaxy safe. In her office on Earth, an elderly President Hayes looked out at the stars. She was in her final term, and she was proud of what humanity had accomplished. The war was a distant memory now, but its lessons remained. We came in peace, she whispered, repeating the words that had become humanity's unofficial motto. We remain ready for war. The Amanda Foster Memorial stood in the center of Geneva, where people from all over Earth came to remember. The inscription read, Dr. Amanda Foster, scientist, explorer, peacemaker. She reached out her hand in friendship and gave her life for the dream of a peaceful galaxy. Children would ask their parents about the statue. The parents would tell them Amanda's story. They would explain how one woman's death had changed everything. They would explain why it was important to remember her. Will something like that ever happen again? The children would ask. We hope not, the parents would answer. But if it does, the galaxy knows what humans will do about it. The galaxy was at peace. Trade flowed freely between worlds. Art and science flourished. New species joined the galactic community every year. Conflicts were settled through diplomacy rather than war. But in the background, the human fleet continued its patrols. The Eternal Vigilance and its sister ships moved through space, visible reminders of human power. Their presence kept the peace not through fear alone, but through the knowledge that some things were worth fighting for. Amanda Foster had dreamed of a galaxy where all species could live together in peace. Her death had made that dream possible. Now, 23 years later, children from dozens of different worlds played together at the academy built in her memory. Now the galaxy had learned the most important lesson about humanity. They were not natural warriors, but they were the best friends and worst enemies anyone could have. They preferred to build rather than destroy, to heal rather than hurt, to explore rather than conquer. But they would never forget those they had lost. And they would never forgive those who took innocent lives. Amanda Foster was gone, but she would never be forgotten. Her name was spoken on 1,000 worlds. Her story was taught in schools across the galaxy. Her dream of peace lived on in every diplomatic mission, every trade agreement, every friendship between species. The woman who had died trying to make friends with aliens had, in the end, brought peace to the entire galaxy. It was a peace bought with blood and pain, but it was a lasting peace. And in the depths of space, the ship that bore her name continued its mission of exploration and friendship, carrying her dream to the stars.